Okay, everybody, let's talk about the electromagnetic spectrum. So there's important things to know. Wavelength is the distance between identical points in adjacent cycles of a waveform signal. For example, the highest point of a wave is known as the crest. So the distance from one crest to another would be the wavelength. The lowest part of the wave is called a trough. So the distance from the trough of one wave to the trough of the other would be wavelength. Okay, so the next thing we talk about is frequency. Frequency is the number of occurrences of a repeating event. So when you have a wave that goes from here to the exact same spot on the next one, that's the frequency. You time these, how far, how fast, and how often they occur. If you have high frequency, you're going to have a short wavelength. If you have low frequency, you're going to have a big wavelength. We measure it in hertz or inverse seconds. Amplitude is the distance from the median of the wave or the half the distance between the crest and the trough. Amplitude shows you the power of a wave. The greater the amplitude, the more power a wave has. So, as a refresher, wavelength, distance between two identical points on a wave. Amplitude is half the height of the wave or the distance from the median to the crest or the median to the trough. Frequency is how often something occurs. With wavelength and frequency, as one goes up, the other goes down. So, electromagnetic spectrum, it is the range of all types of electromagnetic radiation. Radiation is a type of energy that travels as it goes outward. Here's a list of all the things that we see, starting and showing temperature and frequency and relationship in size. So radio waves come from radio stations, TV stations, satellites, microwaves from microwave ovens, from satellites to microwave communication gear. Infrared light is used, we can use with night vision goggles. Visible light is what we can see. So we need to talk about the speed of light. The speed of light is labeled as c and is 3.00 times 10 to the 8th power meters per second. C equals frequency times wavelength. Wavelength equals c divided by frequency. F equals c divided by wavelength. This little symbol is known as lambda. We also have another constant, which is Planck's constant, and it is labeled as h, and it's 6.626 times 10 to the negative 34s joules per second, or joule seconds. It's a very, 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 very small number, and it relates to energy. And energy is measured in joules. So we can also say Planck's constant is h times f, where V is sometimes labeled as F, F is sometimes labeled as V. They mean the same thing. They are related the same way. These two things are being multiplied, these two things are being divided.